Aspyn Rose, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. You're here. It's great to have you. Despite the time difference, it's lovely to have you here. It's great to chat. Look, we always start by asking our guests to sort of like round up their last sort of 12 months. It's about halfway through 2023 now. And obviously like midway through 2022, you made a big life decision and moved state, right?
I did,
So like, how has that been?
I originally am from Florida, grew up there my whole entire life. That's where I started wrestling. And basically, I want to say literally within the next like couple weeks, it'll be a year since I moved. I currently live in the Dayton, Ohio area. So that's like the Midwest, and the Midwest in America right now is basically like the hub, I feel like, because there's so much different places around us. Canada's right above us, so that's there. And especially where I am, like, I can go 2 hours west and be in Indianapolis, and I can go to like 3 hours east and I can start heading to Pittsburgh and Philly. Yeah. So just in general, like at least travel wise, especially because in America, a lot of times we do have to carpool and drive to shows instead of getting on like trains and all that stuff like that. So being in a place that's a lot more central to travel is mainly like the big thing for me. Because Florida, even just to get into the next state above us, Georgia, is like a 7-hour drive at the least from where I was.
Ouch.
But it's been crazy. I feel my main thing for me, and that I've like told people since I've moved and everything, I just feel like I'm in a better mental place being out of Florida. I know a lot of people like Florida. Florida's nice. It's sunny. It's got beaches. It's got Disney. Everybody films stuff down there. But to me, the Indies, especially after COVID and everything like that, and speaking out, the Florida Indies kind of just like picked and choose how to do what they wanted to do. So I never felt really comfortable there. And even before that, I would always say that I kind of felt like I was the black sheep of Florida. Because even in my first year, I was already traveling. I remember when I had my first official match that wasn't like a rumble or anything like that. Granted, I got beat up in 2 seconds by Jessica Havoc, but regardless, it was a match.
Who doesn't get beat up in 2 seconds by Jessica Havoc? Let's face it, come on.
That same weekend was when everybody else who I trained with got put in like a pre-show 6-man tag match kind of thing. And people were already upset at that point that I wasn't there for that. And I was like, but the whole point is to get out. Like, yeah, it's early, but I mean, the opportunity was there. I'm going to take it. And so I've kind of always felt like that from the beginning. And I just feel like Florida kind of always looked down on me for not wanting to just stick to Florida.
I was going to say, is there...
has really helped.
I was going to say, is that their mentality? Like, not with everyone necessarily, but like, is that how you felt? Like the fact that the Florida scene is very much, let's keep to the Florida scene and not try and expand?
It is, and I've witnessed it with some of the other wrestlers that have come up and come out of there too. Like Robert Martyr, who is all over the place right now. He's been in kind of the same boat as me, to where we were always kind of looked at as like the weird kids, and especially now, like he's wrestled freaking Minoru Suzuki. Like how many people can say that in America? Not that many.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in Florida that are just like, how dare you? Or they're just like, pretend that we don't exist and that we haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's lame. So yeah, that's not cool to hear.
I've been in Ohio for about a year now. I had my most crazy WrestleMania week of my entire life. And it's fitting, I am wearing her shirt today. I got to team with Aki Asakawa in her first match in the US since like 2016. During WrestleMania week.
I was going to say, I had that down to ask you, like, how was that experience? Because that's cool as hell, right? Like, that's...
Even though it's been a couple months and, like, it's already happened, it still kind of feels like a dream, almost. When I first got into wrestling and when I first started wrestling, I was very, very into more of, like, the indies and then especially got into Japanese wrestling. I was watching a lot of Stardom. And I remember when Oedo Tai formed with her and Kyoko Kimura, and I was like, oh my god, they just look cool. They just had like this cool factor about them that no matter what they did, even if it was them dancing. They just looked cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like, I would love to go to Japan. I would love to meet them. I would love to work them, but who knows? And then when she retired, I was like, well, there goes that boat. It's gone. Like, maybe I'll get to meet her one day. That'll be kind of cool. But I was like, okay, whatever. And then leading up to WrestleMania weekend, I knew I was booked for Pandemonium, where I've wrestled for them before over in California. And we had conversations leading up to it of a couple other different ideas that we had. And then out of nowhere, I get a message being like, hey, so what about Aki Asakawa? And I go, and I literally was like, oh, excuse me, what?
You got to check, like, is this a spam email? Like,
I was like, are you serious? Like, the Aki Asakawa, there's not like another one? Are you sure? And they were like, yeah, we got the opportunity to get her over here because they're wanting to have her do a WrestleCon booth and everything. And we thought of you. And I go, honestly, probably out of everyone on that show, I feel like I make the most sense just in general for like kind of like our sometimes kind of mysterious ways that we go about things in the ring and everything like that. But also in general, just being somebody who's just a huge fan of her. And it also meant a lot to me too, because my friend Marcus Crane, who passed away a couple years ago, that was one of the things we bonded on, is he also loved Aki Asakawa, especially because her whole thing is the Japanese drunken samurai. So Marcus being a fan of her just made sense. So the fact that I got to team with her was just so many of my worlds and so many different things all colliding in one. And then I meet her, we're putting our match together, we're talking, we're hanging out, and she goes, oh, Kamitsu no Yaiba. And I go, Demon Slayer? And she's like, yes, hold on. And she goes to her stuff and comes back, and she gives me this little brown paper envelope, and I open it, and it's just a bunch of Demon Slayer stickers that she brought over from Japan. And I was like, I understand that these were probably like 50 cents, but the fact that she took the time to kind of see what I liked and kind of figure out me as a person to then bring me something over, I was like, oh my god, like, she actually wants to be here and team with me and pay attention to me and like recognize me as a person and not just feel like it's an obligation to her.
Yeah.
She is one of the sweetest people that I have ever met in my entire life, and I still can't believe I got to team with her. And things could be happening with that.
Oh.
We'll see.
Oh.
Nothing's set in stone yet, but there's been things, so I'll just leave it at that.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I tell you what, because again, like we won't spoil anything if you can't say anything yet. But I was going to ask, because you've already, again, you say broken out of Florida. Is there a possibility of breaking out of America? You know, that's
that's been the plan, and over the last couple months, it's definitely been more like set into motion. I'm in the process of getting my passport now, just so I can be prepared and everything like that. But I've talked with other people about going to Canada and going to the UK and stuff like that.
I was going to say,
when I get to see you, that'll also be on the list.
I was going to say, when are we going to get some Aspyn in the UK? What's happening here?
We're planning on it. It's going to happen.
You've been wrestling for so long, and we have never had you over here.
I know, and I've already told people, like, if I get to UK and or Japan, don't be surprised if I don't come back home and I just stay over there forever. Trust
me. Like, the UK, I think, is a great wrestling scene. You don't want to live here right now. It's not a good place to live right now. It's a bad place to live right now. You'd rather live in...
America's not that great right now.
That's true. I think we can all agree. I think, like, you know, the handshake meme is all, like, UK, US all agreeing they just want to live in Japan,
Everybody,
right? Like, we all just want to live in Japan. That would be best for everyone.
Yes. There we go. We all just gotta pack up and go.
That's the thing we all have in common. I love that. No, that's great. And hopefully we'll see you over here at some point, because that would be epic. Like, in terms of... We always do, like, a little bit of, like, manifesting, almost like fantasy booking. Like, you know, whether it's in the US or Japan or the UK, like, do you have any names that you're like, these are the names I need to face? These are the people I definitely have to face.
Well, so, first when it comes to UK, we've talked about it before, but me and Kid Lykos really want to team together.
Yeah.
We have this plan hopefully he won't hate me for giving away this plan that we have.
I'm sure he won't. He won't.
He's Full Metal Lykos. He's got the arm. He's got the metal arm. We're anime fans, and I can pull off a good Winry, and we can do some Full Metal cosplaying, tag teaming deal.
That would be epic.
Like I said, hopefully he won't hate me for spoiling it, but that's definitely a thing. I definitely want to make that happen. As for like matches, I really, really want to work Lana Austin or Danny Luna. Those are like probably like my top two people right now from over there that I want to work. Japan, obviously, I want me and Akaskawa to team together again. But I'm also completely open to just wrestling anybody and everybody over there.
I think once you're out there, you're just like, yeah, I want it all, right?
And I guess if you want to add like another dream thing to it, just because when I first got into watching Stardom and everything like that was when Tam Nakano first got in. And now that seeing her grow so much to where she first started as this just cute little plucky little good girl, how cute and wholesome. I think that would be really fun.
I think she's still like that. On the outside, she's still like that, and then you get in the ring with her, and you're like, holy shit! You're like, fuck.
Never have that same thing where we just kind of always look like we're cute and wholesome or whatever, but then when we need to, we can kind of take somebody out.
Yeah, really go after. You're like, oh no, I've made a mistake here.
Right.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I think you and Lana would be a great match as well. I mean, like, I don't know how much you know about Lana over here, but like, her thing, especially in Progress right now, is that she thinks she's a great singer, and that's very debatable. I mean, like, do you think if it wasn't a wrestling match?
It's a big deal, okay.
I was gonna say it.
I understand it. I get it.
I was gonna say if it wasn't a match and they asked you to take her on in a sing-off, do you think you'd have the chops for that? Do you think you could do that?
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I can't sing at all. I will humbly say that I cannot sing at all.
You must do something well, like some sort of karaoke song. You must do something well, like even if you've had like maybe a couple of drinks and you're like, oh, I'm feeling okay to sing now. Like,
I feel like if anything, we could have like a Hannah Montana sing-off.
That would be good. Yeah.
We could do that. Or, I don't know, maybe instead we do a dance-off, even though I'm also not good at dancing. Maybe we just see who the more terrible dancer is and go about it that way. I think that'd be interesting, because I don't think Lana can dance that well either. But there we go.
There's me calling her out here. That would be great. This is some true fantasy booking. This is what we need to see.
This is how wrestling goes, guys. This is what actually happens.
This is wrestling. This is what we want. This is all we need to see.
That's it.
Love it. I love that. But I mean, go back to like facing Akira as well. Like, sorry, teaming with Akira as well at Mania weekend. We've spoken to a few people about this in terms of like big names that they faced. I remember talking to Michael Oku about it when he not faced William Regal but met William Regal, and like a few people in the ring as well, like Livy Grace when she faced Mickie James. But like, how do you keep it all in that moment, like not externally freak out, which I'm sure you're doing internally?
I mean, yeah, there was definitely a lot of like freaking out internally, but I'll be honest, I dulled it down a little bit, but I was very like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm teaming with you kind of thing. Especially because since it had been a while since she had been to America, we basically were using Google Translate on our phones to talk to each other. And I told her about how I was a fan of Oedo Tai when I got into wrestling and everything like that, and how she was almost like a hero to me. And so, I'll be honest, I'm the complete opposite, and I will be like, yes, thank you, oh my god, bless you, let me get on my knees, I will do whatever you want.
Like the whole Wayne's World thing, isn't it? The we're not worthy.
Yes, that was me, that was literally me. But it could also just be because we were actually, like, working together in a match sense. There's been other people that I've met where, like, it's just a brief meeting, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I remember Mania Week in Dallas the year before. I was walking out of the room where the collective was running because they had their merch like area in the room across, and I was walking over there, and Yuya Uemura was walking by, and I had just met him the previous week at Pandemonium.
Right.
And so I go and said hi to him, and he was with somebody, and I quickly introduced myself and shook their hand and said hi. As I walk away, it clicked in my brain that I had just shook hands with Minoru Suzuki.
And you didn't even know?
Because he was wearing a mask, so I did not put two and two together, and then I walk away, and in my head I go, wait a minute, that face looks familiar. And then I realized why.
And then you're like, oh no.
Where I don't even realize it.
Did you go back? Did you go back and reintroduce yourself?
I didn't, because that was the only time I saw him the entire weekend.
Oh no.
I saw him for a split second with Yuya, and I was like, well, I mean, at least I was like professional.
Yeah.
That was about all I had. I'm like, he probably could pick me out of a lineup, especially because I've had different hair colors at this point.
But he's like,
oh. I met him, I shook his hand.
Maybe it's that moment for him, though, you know, like that you don't know who I am moment, like for you, like where he's like, oh, that's a big deal, because somebody doesn't know who I am.
He is glad if people don't recognize him, which is probably why he was wearing a mask, too, because he's like, I don't want to be around all these weirdo American people.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
And then you would have been in trouble, because you would have drawn attention to it, because you'd be like, holy shit, that's Suzuki.
Oh my god, guys, look!
Come over here, quick!
Yeah, like, I've met people like that before. I did a WrestleCon booth with Dan Severn in 2019. And that was just a cool learning experience, like, just to be able to sit next to him and talk to him about life and whatnot, while also the company that brought us both in to do signings, it was a clothing company called Suck Me Crew. So here we go, we just have little old me and then giant Dan Severn posing with t-shirts that say Suck Me in the background.
That's the marketing. That's the marketing you want.
Yep. I was like, this is the photo. This is what makes sense. No, that's just how it goes.
That's brilliant. Sometimes one day you're meeting Suzuki and not recognizing him, the next day you're wearing a t-shirt that says Suck Me on it. That is the most wrestling thing I've ever heard. No, I love that. That's brilliant. And I wanted to ask about, because we sort of went, I love tangents, by the way, so don't worry about it, because I love tangents. I love going off topic. But I wanted to ask as well about your move, because, like, without it getting sort of, like, too deep, you mentioned speaking out, you mentioned, like, COVID, and I know that was, like, a part of the reason for you moving as well. But how tough is it to say, like, not necessarily, like, say goodbye to the wrestling scene, because that seems like something you wanted to break out of, but, like, to say goodbye to, like, the state where you've, like, grown up, and, like, almost have some of it not be sort of in your control? Like, is that tough to say goodbye to that?
I mean, I think, honestly, it probably depends on the person. I feel like for me, I feel like for the longest time, especially, like, getting into wrestling and everything like that, I always had the want to move out of Florida. That was just always in the back of my head.
Was that it? Like, as soon as you found wrestling?
Great and all, but I was like, I need to get out of here. I don't know if wrestling played the whole entire part in it. Who knows if I would have wanted to move if it wasn't for wrestling. I have no clue. But I don't know. I just always felt the need to get out. And I feel like in that, with traveling as much as I did outside of Florida too, to where it got to the point where I remember when I started doing bookings again after COVID in 2021, that for that year and a half before I moved here, I maybe did 3 shows in Florida in a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing keeping me here. So, yeah, I want to get out to venture more and to not be stuck, but also when there's nothing keeping me there in general, it kind of just felt like it was the right time. And even then, people wouldn't even realize I was from Florida.
Yeah.
I'd go outside to shows, and they would be like, oh, so where are you from? And I'd tell them Florida, and they'd be like, wait, what? Really? You're from Florida?
You're, like, never there. What?
It was, it sounds terrible, but in my own personal experience, I like to describe Florida as a black hole.
I can see that.
Like, either you're there, and there's, like I said, there's a few people like me or Robert Martyr or Culture Inc. Who are able to get out and make a name for themselves. But for the most part, you're either stuck there or you go there thinking something is going to happen and then you can't leave.
Yeah, it's like trapped.
it sucks you in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't spit you back out. Like I said, a couple of us got lucky and we got out of there. But yeah, it's weird. Like, honestly, the only thing that I feel like I miss is the couple of friends that I had down there. But with wrestling, I'm able to travel all the time, and the wrestlers that I am friends with that are still down there, they travel. So it's not like I'm never ever going to see them again or anything like that. But other than that, honestly, I feel like I was ready no matter what to get out of there, and I just think with COVID and everything, I probably would have moved out of Florida sooner. So my body was just ready. My heart, my brain, everything. We were checked out of Florida long before we got out of Florida.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And so what is because, like, again, I've only seen California, if I'm honest, America wise. I've only been to California, and that was like probably like 18 years ago now that I went when I was like 10. So I don't have a huge frame of reference for what life in America is actually like, other than like what you see on TV and like news and stuff. But like, what is Ohio like? Because I don't know much about Ohio apart from the fact that they like chili and spaghetti, and the Bowling for Soup song. I don't know if you know it. Come Back to Texas. Yeah. So those are the two references I have for Ohio in my mind. And in my mind, I'm like, well, he's singing about wanting her to come back to Texas, so Ohio can't be that great. Like, so what is life in Ohio like? Are you enjoying it? Are you liking being there, just generally?
I like it. I feel like, even though you said it had been a while, you've kind of experienced California. Florida is like California, but more humid and more retired people.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
That's basically the difference. So, like, if I had to choose between California or Florida, I would pick California all day.
Yeah.
The main difference for me has been actually having a winter for once in my life.
I imagine that's weird, yeah.
And having snow and an actual proper winter like you're supposed to have. Because winter in Florida is like, oh, it's 40 degrees outside. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. It's too cold.
What is that? What's that like? Seeing like winter for the first time properly? Is that pretty cool?
It was so weird, especially like when it comes to like holidays and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is what holidays are actually supposed to be like, and not on a beach.
I understand every Christmas movie now.
It's crazy. I will say the one kind of similarity, which is kind of random, that they have is, at least where I was in Florida, and I know there's a lot of parts, if you're completely away from, like, Orlando, like, super touristy areas, there's a lot of farm animals. Florida is notoriously known where you can be driving down a highway and just see a bunch of cows on the side of the road.
Nice.
And so, in Ohio, there's a lot more farms. There's horses and cows. There's one place that I've driven by that literally has alpacas for some odd reason. I don't know what people are doing with alpacas in Ohio. But,
no, they're native, right? Alpacas are famously native to Ohio.
Right? But yeah, like, it's kind of hard to describe, like, Midwest-y areas, but I just kind of feel it's more like farmland in a way. But I'm also, like I mentioned earlier, I am in such a central spot where I can only go a couple hours and be in a whole other area. Yeah. Where Florida, it takes you forever to get out of. So, honestly, and then there's also the very popular Death Cab for Cutie song about Ohio.
Yeah, of course. How did I forget that? Yeah.
For lovers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently.
But is it, though? In your experience, is that true?
Currently, in the last year, that is not my experience.
But maybe. Who knows? Who knows what...
Maybe at some point. I just haven't gotten there yet.
No, it's pretty... I was going to say, like, because you mentioned, like, the drives and stuff, you're going to love the UK if you come here. Like, 7 hours gets you from the bottom of the country to the top of the country. Like, it takes, like...
It blows my mind.
You're going to be fine. Like, you're going to be like, oh, shit, it's so quick.
And he'll be like, oh, yeah, I got to go all the way over here, and it's like a 2-hour train ride. And I go, you can just take a train there? What? You don't have to get in a car with 20 other people?
Oh, you're gonna love the carpool.
20 hours? Like, it blows my mind. I cannot wait. Or they're like, oh yeah, I got a show over here that's 20 minutes away. I got a show over here that's an hour away. I'm like, you got that much stuff that's that close to you? It blows my mind. You're
gonna hate the complaining. Like, we complain, like, a 2-hour journey or like a 3-hour journey is long for us. That's annoying. Like, a 3-hour journey...
For me, that's like a breeze.
For a Brit, a 3-hour journey is hell. That's like, oh, I've got to go this far.
Right?
You're gonna find it so
crazy.
simple.
Like, yeah, when I've talked to people over there about it, and I go, like, I've done when the first year Mania was in Dallas a handful of years ago. What was it, 2016, 2015, whatever year it was. A handful of us drove there, and from the Orlando area in Florida to Dallas, Texas, was about 18 hours.
Please tell me you had a break. It must have been a break in the middle, right? Like a stopover.
Yeah, we stopped like halfway through and got like some random sketchy hotel on the side of the road. I think in like Mississippi or Louisiana halfway through.
Lovely.
Yeah. Or I've done. There was one road trip that I've done where from Orlando, we were going to freelance in Chicago.
Right.
Which was about, I want to say, 12-ish hours or so. We get to around the Louisville, Kentucky area, which is like right the state below it. We were maybe 3 or 4 hours away. And we get a call saying, hey, so there's like an insane blizzard here and the venue isn't going to let us open the venue for the show, so we have to cancel.
Ouch.
And so we're like, okay, well, we're like 10 hours from home. What the heck do? We can't just turn around out of nowhere for nothing. So I ended up contacting Nick Manawa, who was at the time was one of the commentators for IWA Mid-South. I was just like, hey, I know you guys do shows every weekend. What are the odds that you guys have an open spot?
And need a car full of wrestlers.
And that was it. It was like, yeah, sure, come on through. Okay, we'll find you something. I was like, okay.
Love it. Oh, that's awesome. You saved the day.
We went to the infamous flea market where IWA Mid-South was running at the time. And I think they had just done a show like the night before, because they'd have certain weekends where they literally would do a show like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And we get there, and we were a little bit early, but we got there, and I remember like walking around, looking at the ring and whatever, and I happened to look down, and there's just blood and glass. just chilling on the floor. And I was just like, yep, I'm at IWA Mid-South now, this makes sense. And then they were like, oh yeah, they had some sort of death match or something the night before. And so they're like, yeah, look, and they lifted up the ring apron, and all the broken glass from yesterday was just swept under the ring.
Like when you're a kid, right? That's what I would do. It's like when you're a kid, right? And your mum tells you to clean under the bed, and you just shove it all under. Yeah, you're just like, that's clean. That counts. The visible stuff is no.
It's clean. You can't see it. It's clean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, this makes sense for my first IWA Mid-South experience.
Oh, that was your first one as well.
That was my first one. That's why I was like, yeah, that checks out.
What a weekend! I tell you what.
Because after that, I remember the couple times after I did deathmatch stuff with Marcus, I got hit up once to do Queen of the Deathmatch, and I go, whoa. I'm like, I just do this every now and then where I don't have to do a lot, and Marcus is out there with me. I'm good, thank you. But maybe you should give it to somebody who actually wants to do this all the time and go all out. I'm like, I just do a little bit here and there.
That's not your thing.
In certain points.
Yeah.
But not, I'm like, I'm not going to go out there for 20 minutes and get hit with glass.
Yeah.
I'll get hit once and I'll be like, nah, I'm done. It's over. I took the hit. You can pin me now.
Yeah, like one death match every so often, not like 3 in a weekend or something. That's like,
like, there's no way. And then especially, too, the way IWA did it was, when it came to their King and Queen of the deathmatch tournaments, is each match had its, like, specific weapon stipulation. And so they would also, depending on the worker, they would try to make weapons based on that worker. So, because I'm a mermaid, they're like, oh yeah, we'll get like some oyster shells or sea urchins or something and some traps. And fish hooks. I was like, no. Oh my god, no. But yeah, that was literally what they suggested. Like, well, you're a mermaid, so we could get like some
just the seafood deathmatch as you do.
So yeah, you could just step on some shells and get hooked with an actual fish hook. And I was like, no, thanks, but no thanks.
Smack around the face with a lobster or something.
They go get the live lobsters from the grocery store.
You love that, no?
Let them loose in the ring.
I get that. No, like, yeah, once in a while is fine. But like, if you're doing it every day for like 3 days, you're like, I'll call like Sawyer Wreck or Charlie Evans or something like.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, good. Get the people who want to do this all the time and are okay with that. Like, I took some skewers in the head once. If I have to do it again, I will do it again. But I don't want to do it every single day.
That's one of the most brutal ones in a deathmatch. Like, I don't know how they stay in there. I'm like, oh no, it's so cringy.
They're
like
literally just in your head.
I know, but like it just makes me like cringe thinking about it. It's like the pain that must be is like at least like with like a blade or something. If you're cut, like you're done, it's cut, you're fine. But like when they're sticking in your head, I'm like, no.
It's definitely a weird feeling. It's not the easiest to describe.
You're like, oh, when did I put my hair up?
Like a weird pressure on your head getting hit. But then once they're in there, and it could just be because, you know, adrenaline's going in here in the middle of a match, and I didn't really feel it. And then, but what made me upset when I did my spot was, I was like, okay, we're going to get some cool photos, because of course you have to document it. But then there was no blood. And I was like...
That's not even worth it. It's not even worth it.
Like, come on. And then, like I said, what made it worse is when I got home, because this was one of the few shows in the last year and a half of me being in Florida that I did, because this was for No Peace Underground. It started bleeding an hour after I got home. I was like, are you kidding me?
How does that happen? How is it that delayed?
I don't know. I don't know if I just don't bloody myself enough and my body's just not ready for it or what. I have no clue. The
adrenaline was so much, your blood was going so fast it didn't have time to come out, and then when you relaxed, it was all like, oh, there's time now.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's gutting. That is gutting. Because you want it, like, if you're going to do a deathmatch, at least, like, once, you want it for, like, the bloodshot, right, for Instagram, where you can be like, look how hardcore I am. I did a deathmatch. Yeah! There's the blood to prove it.
Like, luckily, like, the whole bundle pretty much of skewers were in my head. I remember even walking to the back and Eric Ryan just looking at me being like, I've never seen Atticus get a whole bundle in someone's head like that before and it stay.
Your head's just that good.
In my head, I was just like, is this a compliment?
You know, your skull is just that good at taking skewers.
It is. I've just got a head made for skewers, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we mentioned sorry, that's just a great thing. I just love that. I love that. We mentioned Lykos earlier, and like I love this like affinity that you guys have because it seems very unexpected. Not in terms of like your personalities, because again, like I know he likes anime and stuff as well. Like it seems to match very, but in terms of like how that friendship comes about in the first place, like how did that all begin?
It's funny that you asked that because I was literally thinking about this the other day. And honestly, I don't remember. I really don't. I just know that we have been friends for a handful of years now. Before he was even doing Lykos full time. Like, that's how long I've known him.
That is a while.
And, like, I met him and Chris Brooks in person Mania Week 2019 in New York. And I remember I had been talking to them leading up to it. And I was like, hey, especially for Lykos, I'm pretty sure that was like his first time in America at that point. I was like, hey, what American stuff do you want? And they wanted candy. That was all they wanted was candy.
Of course.
So, and mind you, we both had crazy weekends that week. Like, they were all over the place. I was all over the place. And so I was walking into the venue for Black Label Pro, and I don't remember what show they had, but they had wrestled there earlier that day. So they were basically leaving, and I think they were heading to WrestleCon or something like that for High Spots, maybe. Or it might have been a Progress show. I don't remember, but I remember they were like, "Yeah, we gotta go." So as I'm walking in and they're walking out, I literally had to be like, "Wait, we got 2 whole minutes," and so I just quickly set my bag in the ground and I open it and I just start pulling out all these Skittles. All these bags of Skittles. And I'm like, here, you wanted American candy. You wanted Skittles that you can't get over there. Here you go. And that was because we were so busy. Like, I saw them again briefly, I think, in passing at the WrestleCon hotel at one point. But that was it. That was the first time we met in person, and it was just me giving them a bunch of Skittles.
I love that. That is great. And then when you
remember, I legitimately, because it's been so long, I don't remember like what started it. I just know at some point we started talking on social media, and then it's just progress from there. And it could be because me being somebody who's also broken their collarbone, like I completely get it. But we've always just got along no matter what. Like even if there goes like a period of time where we're super busy, at one point one of us will be like, "Hey, just checking in. Are you doing okay?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
So no matter what, he's always been like an important person to me. And so we kind of always like look out for each other, and they're like, "Heck yeah, you can do it," or hey pal, like you need to rest, you need to calm down for a second, like you're good, it's okay.
No, I love that. I love that. Who says a wolf and a mermaid can't be friends,
I don't know
right?
how it happened, it just did.
I love that. No, that's great. That's great. And like, because I know, like, I could see obviously on social media, but like, that must have like been so cool as well. Then to see him obviously recently win Super Strong Style, because like, I mean, we were rooting for him here at Grapple Theory. Like, we wanted him to win it, and like, you could see how much he meant to him when we had him on the pod. He was talking about how like, for both him and for Lykos too, they both wanted to sort of like cement themselves as single wrestlers as well as a tag team. And like, so it was really cool to see him get that moment and go so far, because like, he deserves it so much.
He does. Like, I remember talking to him a couple weeks before about it. And I go, "Hey, obviously I don't know anything, but I'm telling you, you're going to win." And he's just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And I go, "No, I'm telling you. I'm like, it makes sense. You have to. It's just how it's going to go." And then he won, and I was like, I knew it. I'm smart like that. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I love that. Yeah, it was cool. It was so cool for him. Because like, I feel like, again, like, you sort of mentioned it, but like, I feel like his career has been like, he's associated with Brooks and CCK, and then he was associated with Lykos too, and he hasn't really had that big singles push that I feel like he's deserved for so long.
He's so good. I will tell people all day about how good he is. On his own, like, I will always hype him up. I remember excitedly when he had that match last year, at the beginning of the year, when Brooks was back home.
Yeah, that match was brutal.
That big crazy match.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I need it up on the WWE Network so I can watch it. And I was glued to my TV watching it. I was like, I have to. Like, he's such a good friend to me. I have to support it. I know it's old and it happened a couple weeks ago, but I need to watch it, especially because I know going into it how much that match meant for him in general. And so, yeah, I don't know what it is. We're always just there for each other whenever we need it. He's somebody who I appreciate so much, and I tell him that probably almost every other day. He's probably sick of me telling him this at this point. And he'll probably send me some silly little message when this goes up being like, "Hey, you gotta stop gushing about me all the time. You don't have to do that." And then he'll just start gushing about me, and that's just how it goes. So I'm like, Michael, this is just our friendship. This is how it works.
That's what friendship is, right? That's what friendship is.
It is!
That's awesome. No, that's super cool. I just love the dynamic of, like, it just seems like a very unlikely friendship that I just really enjoy. I think that's really cool. But again, like we mentioned, like the love of anime and stuff, like obviously you are more than just a wrestler because of, you know, you're the pro wrestling waifu, right? Like,
yes, that's me.
I mean, so we have this little segment on the show called like what's in a name, essentially, and it's sort of like how you came up with your name, but also like what it takes to be you in the ring, like as a shoot. You know what I mean? So like if someone like was trying to like sort of take over from you like for a night or something, you needed someone to cover for you for a night. What does that take? What does it take to be a good wrestling waifu? Like what would that person need?
I feel like in a sense you would need to probably have some confidence to get everybody to fall in love with you. Because if you aren't in love with yourself and you don't believe in yourself, it's kind of hard to get other people to do that, I feel like. As the famous RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? So, I feel like that's a big thing. Obviously, you got to have some good anime knowledge.
Obviously. You
can't be a faker. You can't sit here and be like, I watch anime, and then just say that you watched Dragon Ball Z. That's not how this works. But I think also, with the waifu aspect, you kind of, at least for me, and I think that's where, like, me as a person comes through, is always being there for the people that you care about. Whether it's, hey, I'm checking on you, how are you doing? Oh my god, you got this cool opportunity, that's amazing. Hey, if you need anything, I'm here. That's always been me as a person. a lot of my friends like to tell me that, and they're like, hey, it's okay for you to not worry about other people all the time. But that's just who I am. So I think that's a big thing with the waifu thing, because the whole part of it is the dream wife, if you put it in like American terms, is you're like the dream partner. So you want somebody who's supportive, who's going to listen to you, who's going to take care of you, etc. And that's just how I am as a person. And I just put that into wrestling, basically. Even though sometimes, like I said, if I need to, I can take somebody out, whatever.
Yeah. But I think that's another key point of like being a waifu, right? Is like that deceptiveness of like, you know, like I'm all like cute and sweet on the outside, but if you mess with me, I will take you down.
Yeah, big, for real. Like, when I wrestled for Pandemonium for the first time in California last year, the whole reason I was brought in was because these groups of people had taken out Kid Bandit. And I was like, like, mother coming in, like, you don't beat up my kids like that. That's my girl. That's my anime girl. That's my wife. If anything, that's how this is. You don't mess with her. Now you got me coming in.
Yeah.
So I feel like it helps to where I can kind of take it both ways.
Yeah, and I mean, Aspyn and Bandit is just the ultimate, like, anime pairing, right?
Yes.
Like, you could put that in any, like, hard-hitting anime and people would buy it, like, oh, yeah, that fits, that works.
I feel like I like to describe us as, for anyone that knows Hunter x Hunter, we're the Gon and Killua of professional wrestling. Because I feel like Bandit is definitely Killua, who can be very sinister and evil when need be. And then Gon is just there, just being happy-go-lucky, but that if you make him mad, oh boy, you make him mad. And he will defend Killua to the end. And I just feel like that is our dynamic.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that we mentioned Bandit, because when we had them on the podcast, probably about a year ago now or so, we asked them about their favourite anime. Because I'm someone, again, like you said, I'm not going to fake it. I'm not a huge anime guy. I have watched Dragon Ball Z. I've watched Agretsuko. And I've watched Death Note. But apart from that, my anime knowledge is very limited. Like, very limited. I've also watched Card Captors, but I don't know if that counts.
I mean, it does.
I love Card Captors when I was a kid. I was like, shit, that is cool. But, like... So if you had to recommend, like, 3 anime that anyone like me who's not a big anime person would have to check out, what would they be? What would be, like, your go-tos?
So, if I had to pick, for someone who hasn't watched wrestling, well, you've watched Death Note, which is usually my recommendation for people who haven't watched
I feel like that's the classic, though, right? I feel like that's, like, one of the big ones.
It's like... I feel like in the way that it's presented and everything, it doesn't just feel like an anime, and especially because it's got some of, like, the more, like, horror vibes to it, I feel like it has a much wider audience that it can bring in. But I feel like currently... Chainsaw Man is probably a good one, because I feel like even though it's not really horror, it's kind of got that big fighting mentality to it.
Nice.
But it's also got Denji, the main character, who's like, I'm just going to do whatever the pretty girl tells me to do, and if she wants me to kill somebody, I'm going to go kill somebody. And I'm going to go chop them up with a chainsaw. So it's a good... I feel like a lot of people are just like, see it, and they're like, yeah, that looks cool. And they just want to watch it. Another one for me probably would be, there's so many. You can't even see the collection I have next to me that has all of my books.
I mean, we've already got a lot here up and in this corner here, but like...
Yeah, this is just all of my posters and everything, and I have a whole collection of manga. Another one would probably be Vinland Saga, because in the same realm how Death Note isn't presented in like a traditional anime sense, I feel like Vinland Saga is very much the same. It's an anime, of course, but it's just about Vikings.
Sweet. I do like Vikings.
Like, yeah, they got these big ships and they're going and they're pillaging all the towns and burning them down and everything like that.
I do like Vikings. That sounds like my stream.
It doesn't have the very stereotypical like anime notions to it. So I feel like it's a good one to kind of like, can get anybody to watch it. And then like my personal favorite is Yu Yu Hakusho. It's more of like one of the classic animes. It's from the same person who made Hunter x Hunter. And It's about this just dumb kid who ends up getting hit by a truck and dying. But his spirit allows him to come back, and he has to go around killing bad ghosts, basically. Ghost Detective is like the subtitle for it.
Right, okay.
And
it's like a more hard-hitting Casper.
That I watched when I really got back into anime.
Okay, that's cool. Like, I get that. Yeah, I like that. I like the Viking one especially sounds appealing to me. I'm going to go find that. That sounds cool as shit.
When I watched it, it was on Amazon Prime, but they just came out with the second season not that long ago on Netflix, so I think the original season is also on Netflix.
Okay, I might have to watch that. I'll have to see. I've just realised I have watched one other anime because my partner watches it, and I sort of like watch it over her shoulder, but not a lot. It's Case Closed.
Oh my god, that's another OG one. I think that manga is still going too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it is. She has a few of the manga. Yeah, like I think that's pretty good. That's quite funny. But I just like mainly for the idea that I like the idea that like the guy who's actually the detective like is always asleep and somehow telling them how it happened, and no one questions that at all. So no, I like that. That's cool. Some good options for anyone out there. For anyone, not just me. For anyone out there, if you like what you hear, go and check them out. No, that's cool. That's really cool. And again, like we mentioned, you're not just a wrestler. You're something that, which again, like I think is pretty cool, and like not a lot of people get to see. Is like you're also technically like a Playboy model, right?
Yeah, technically I am.
And that's cool, right? How many wrestlers can say that?
That was the original content platform I was using was Coffee, and I really liked it because it was super easy to use, and they had multiple different stuff you could do, like blog posts, videos. They had all sorts of like different options. So it was really friendly, like user friendly to use. And the main thing that I liked about it is whenever people signed up or tipped me or whatever, I immediately got them money. So it wasn't like how a lot of the other ones where you gotta like wait till you get a certain amount or like it's like cleared or whatnot. And it was really easy to use. And then out of nowhere, my account got flagged. They still never told me what happened.
Oh,
they
bullshit.
were very vague on it. They were like, well, either somebody reported you or one of our bots that goes through systems flagged your account.
Ah.
And they said that I was showing too much. And I was like, and I remember when I was trying to fight it at first, I went to their rules and I took a screenshot of their rules and I go, nothing of what I post. I'm like, you help run it or whatever, so you can look at people's accounts. So you can see what I post. I'm like, nothing is against your terms. And then they never said anything after that.
Just ignored it.
Okay, I guess it's gone. There goes that. So I was kind of figuring out where I wanted to go. I was like, oh, Patreon or OnlyFans or whatever. And I was talking to a couple friends that had one of them or both of them and like getting different ideas. And then like right at that time was when Centerfold was starting to pop up. And I was like, okay. And I had seen like one or two people that had got on it when it opened up. And I was like, okay, maybe let's just try that. Let me just send in an application because it's new. I might not get approved. And somehow I got approved. I don't know how. But for me, it's been really great. And the main thing that I really like about it, which probably isn't what people think about when it comes to it, is for me, anytime I've had an issue and I've had to reach out to them, they are immediately on top of it. They're super understanding. Because like I've had issues where people that I don't want on there, who are either people that don't need to, that I'm trying not to associate with, or like people who are being a little too much. And I'll just be like, hey, there's this account, here's the situation. And they like immediately took the account off of my page. They blocked it. And anytime they've tried to make a new account, they are immediately on top of it. Like they're like, basically like their HR team, I guess, is just very helpful when it comes to like any like safety concerns and stuff like that. And I feel like that is just such a big thing nowadays.
Yeah, like safety is important,
general,
right?
I feel like for the most part, or any feminine person, no matter what, I feel like making sure that we feel safe in what we're doing is definitely most important. So the fact that they really want to make sure that all of their users are feeling comfortable and taken care of is a really big decision factor for me.
Yeah.
But also, it's been really easy to use, and everybody's liked the transition. And so it's just been really nice. It's been cool, and just to have like that branding behind my name, I think helps in general. So yeah, they've been really cool, and they also even have like times where I'll get emails and stuff where they actively want to help you grow your page.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, if you go on there and you don't have anything, they have, like, an explore page where you can find people.
Nice.
And every week they also have, like, hey, here's a select, they'll pick, like, random accounts to, like, highlight them to get more people on their page.
Oh, that's cool.
And
it's not just all you having to plug it yourself.
Like, they'll have, like, online events, too, where they'll be like, hey, we're doing a Google Meet with, like, one of them was with, like another fashion brand being like, hey, we got opportunities, or they'll have opportunities with like some of their like content creation people being like, hey, we're doing a little class to show you guys some more stuff that you can do, more ways to promote your stuff and things like that. And so they're actively a part of what goes on the website, instead of just where like Patreon or OnlyFans, you kind of have to know what that person is to then go find their stuff.
Yeah. Like, you're always having to plug it yourself.
They don't really have anything to do with your post, with your channel, with your page, with promoting it or anything. And Playboy Centerfold is very a part of what you do.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that everybody can grow and not just the people who already have like 1 million followers.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. And like you say, like, it means you're not always, like, say, social media-wise or whatever, having to just constantly plug it yourself. Like, they're helping you plug it as well.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And you clearly enjoy it, and that's the most important thing, right? Especially like that they're keeping you safe as well, helping you in that respect. Like, you know, getting rid of like dodgy people or whatever. So like you can enjoy it more because you know you have that safety factor.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, loads of stuff to enjoy. You're killing it at the minute. It's great to see. It's great to see. But again, that sort of leads us into our like sort of closing feature on the show. Which is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler, and it's more like, it's sort of like, again, we've learned a bit about you already, but it's like what makes you kind of thing, like what makes you tick kind of thing. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you let me know what comes to mind for each one. So the first one is, what is your favourite post-pinfall pig out?
Taco Bell.
Nice. What do you get?
It kind of varies depending on the season. If they have nacho fries, I will always get nacho fries.
Nice.
I used to be a very big fan of the gordita, but America, at least, does not have gorditas anymore.
Right, okay.
Unless you get a gordita crunch, which doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't count.
You can't just straight up order a gordita, which blows my mind. And also, if any other Taco Bell fans are watching and they don't know this, I'll give you the secret. A chalupa is just a gordita after they fry it.
Yeah.
So, if you want a gordita and you've got a cool Taco Bell person, you can just order a chalupa and ask them not to fry it, and there you go.
There you go. That's the secret.
And also, the app is definitely helpful because they'll have online exclusives. I think they're getting rid of it for a hot minute as far as I'm concerned. But for the longest time, they've had the quesarito on there, and I've met so many people who didn't realize that you could still get a quesarito at Taco Bell.
They're keeping it secret.
Just through the app only. Your Taco Michinoku here is going to tell you all the ins and outs of Taco Bell.
That's why, right? That's why.
Yes.
Like, that's exactly what their name comes from, right? Is the fact that you're like taco expert, right? It's all...
I like Taco Bell and I like Japanese wrestling. It just makes sense.
Yeah, the perfect mix, I think. If like Stardom could be sponsored by Taco Bell, then that's the dream.
That's literally the highest dream anybody could have.
No, I love it, and that's great. It's great to know. It's good to know those tips as well. Like, that's what gets you on the app, right? Though that's why they don't want you to know, because that gets you on the app, being like, oh, they've all these secret things they're not telling me.
They do.
But now you got Taco Michinoku here to tell you. You don't need the app.
I'm here. I'm just...
Don't need the app at all. What's the app for? Brilliant. The next one is, it's the classic sort of like, what would your like last meal be? Your like death row meal?
Oh man. There's too much food that I like.
That's always the issue.
Obviously, besides Taco Bell, I'm a big a big fan of pasta, any kind of pasta.
Nice.
I'm crazy over pasta. And hopefully it's not cannibalistic of me to say, but I like sushi.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Well, where do mermaids stand on it? That's a tricky one, isn't it? Where do mermaids stand?
I mean, I gave up my legs to learn, or gave up my tail to learn how to wrestle. So here we are.
Oh, so yeah, exactly. So yeah, like you're only a mermaid now back in the water. So if you have fish on land, you're fine, I think.
I think that's what I like to think.
That's the loophole.
It is. That's the loophole that I found.
Nice. Yeah, to be fair, who can resist sushi, really, right? Like
I love sushi. I am such a big sushi person. That's like me and my mom's thing that we've always enjoyed, because for most of the time we don't have other people who like sushi, so we're just like, hey, let's go have sushi together, since we don't know anybody else that likes sushi.
Nice. Just enjoy it together. Nice family time, right? Love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. The next one is the song that gets you the most hyped.
Oh man. My music taste is all over the place. I could, like, if I showed you like all my favorited songs on Spotify, it would literally go from like Mac Miller to the High School Musical soundtrack.
Love it. Classic.
To like some sad emo music like Hot Mulligan or Have Mercy. And
love it even more.
then we would probably get like a couple like super popular hits. Most hype though.
The one that you're always like, this'll get me there. This'll like.
I mean, I probably, just because of the fact that every time I hear it, it just makes me excited, even though it's not like a super like fast-paced song, is I am a sucker for the very short-lived music career of Zendaya. Very short-lived. In her Disney Channel era, she came out with a song called Replay. It's like 10 years old at this point, and it was like her one song that like went all over the place. And every time I hear it, I'm just like, yep, that's the jam. That's it. I love it. Gotta hear it all the time.
I was gonna say, because like her career was so short-lived music-wise that until you brought it back up, I completely forgot she'd had one.
Right.
Like I that totally left my mind. And then I was like, oh yeah, she did have a little bit, didn't she? That one year where she did some music. No, that's cool. I like it. The next one is the movie that I'd show the locker room.
Fifth Element, all the way.
Nice. That's a good shout.
That is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. One of the few movies that I can watch over and over again and completely love it every single time. But also, in the same sense, if I wanted to show the locker room a movie and I just wanted to make them laugh, I would show them the Spice Girls movie. Oh,
that, again, classic, right?
Spice Girls was such a trip.
It's not meant to be a comedy, I don't think, but it very much is.
But it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be a comedy when it literally shows them meeting aliens.
That's true, I suppose. You know. I feel like, yeah. No, you're right. I forgot about that part of it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally just randomly stop on the side of the road and they walk into the woods and they just meet some aliens.
But that is the influence of the Spice Girls. That's their reach, right? Like...
It is. I was such a Spice Girls fan when I was little.
They're the ones, I think, like, they're the British band that, like...
I had that movie on VHS. I probably still do somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, they're the British band that I feel like really broke America. Like, there are a few that have broken America, but, like... They were huge.
I had all the CDs. I had everything I could possibly get. Spice Girls was my jam. Nice.
That's a good shout. I think the locker room would appreciate it as well. I think it's one as well, like, because as well as, like, just being funny, it would just get everyone moving, right? Just gets them all pumped up for everything.
Because they were just bop after bop, no matter what.
Yeah.
So it would definitely get everybody excited.
Yeah, it's basically a musical, isn't it? Right, let's face it. It's like, it's essentially a musical, but they don't call it a musical.
It's Hamilton before Hamilton was Hamilton.
Oh, that's the ultimate review, right? That is the ultimate review. Where were you when it first came out and they needed, like, the little quote thing to put in the magazines? And they were all like, what's Hamilton?
What is this?
No, I love it. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's your first job.
My first job? Oh, man. technically, I still kind of do my first job.
Oh, okay.
My first job was wrestling.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's amazing. There you go. That's the dream, right?
I didn't have, like, a day job until, like, 2 years into wrestling. And even then, I still also do the same thing. Even though I'm at a different spot, I still work with animals.
I love that.
So I basically do both of my first jobs.
Together. Amazing. How many people can still say that, right? How many people can still say that?
I don't know. Probably all these newbies that are coming into wrestling that start when they're, like, 13, probably.
Yeah. That's.
They make me feel old.
To be fair, there's a few of those, isn't there? There's a few on the Brit wrestling scene I know who are like have been around for like it feels like a decade, and they're still like 19, and you're like, how is this happening?
Yeah, I've been wrestling for 6 years. Oh, how old are you? 20? And I'm like, what?
Lykos too is like prime example. Like he's been around for like 6 years, and he's like 20, and you're like, what? How is this? Like that maths doesn't add up.
It doesn't.
It's crazy. I love it. Yeah, wrestling is wild. Like it like especially after a certain age, it just makes you feel ridiculously old.
It does. Like, that's how I am. In like the same sense, I've briefly mentioned it before. But the moment I knew I was old in wrestling, I put quotation on because I'm not old, but wrestling makes me feel old. This was about 2 years ago, I want to say. I was at a show in Georgia, and we were all, it was before the show, we were all kind of like rolling around, getting ready, whatever. And it was the weekend after, either the weekend after or like the week of after it happened, where the Jimmy Jacobs and Lacey reunion happened in GCW.
Right.
And I was talking about it. And there was like 3 workers by me. And they go, what? And I go, you know, Jimmy loves Lacey, like the iconic singing, the whole spiel, the whole love story. And they had no idea what I was talking about. They didn't get it. They didn't understand why it happened on GCW. They had no clue. And I was just standing there, and I was like, am I old?
Like what?
You don't know Jimmy loves Lacey? Are you kidding me?
Next they'll be telling me that they didn't know Triple H was with Chyna before Steph. It's like...
Right? Or that they didn't know he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Like,
oh, mate. What? I hate that, to be fair. It
blew my mind. Especially, I'm like, it's GCW, and, like, that's, like, the big thing.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, if they're talking about it or bringing it up again, like, you clearly know it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had no idea about the whole entire storyline, it was hurt. I was a little hurt, honestly.
Yeah, I would be as well. I mean, like, again, I haven't had it with that specific, like, storyline, but, like, I have it most times that I go and watch wrestling, and I see, again, like a Joe Lando or a Danny Black or a, like, Kid Lykos too, because I'm like 28. So, like, I see them, and I'm like, oh, I'm not that far apart from them in age. And then I think about it, and I'm like, I'm quite far apart from them in age. And that's upsetting. That's really upsetting.
It is.
That moment of realization it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun.
I'm in the same boat. I get it.
I'm glad you get it. I'm glad, because I remember seeing actually while I was doing my like, research for this, like, you're born in August as well, right? I'm also born in August. So, yes. August buddies. Love that. Yes. Best month to be born in. Because it was always during the summer holidays.
But where my birthday is, and even though I am not a zodiac astrologer.
No, me neither, no.
And it probably is because I have no idea what I am, because my birthday is August 23rd. And all growing up, I would either see August 23rd was the last day of Virgo, or August 23rd was the first day of Leo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, which is it?
You're both.
So I always tell people, I'm both. I don't know. Because some things make sense on Leo and some things make sense on Virgo. But again, like I said, I'm not an astrology person, so I'm just like, I guess I'm both of them.
You are. You're both. You're fish and human as well. So you're 2 zodiacs.
It makes sense.
That's how it works.
The Virgo part is my mermaid side. The Leo part is my human side.
No, brilliant. I love that. And I'm glad you appreciate as well the getting old aspect of it. Like, we had a few wrestlers on who were like, yeah, it just makes you feel old when you see that. You're like, It's literally like you feel like you're like a get off my lawn old person when you see that.
I'm like, oh man, I'm just the little old lady just cheering everybody on. Like, yeah.
I remember when I was your age.
Pain in the air.
Amazing. Oh, my phone is turned off. I don't know what the next question is. I've done it enough times. I should know by now what the running order is. The next one gets a little deep because it's your greatest fear.
Oh. I mean, I can't say like getting hurt because I've gotten hurt plenty of times. It's wrestling. I don't have any fears of like animals really, though. To be fair, I don't like holding snakes.
Sure.
But that's more of I don't like how snakes feel. That weirds me out.
If snakes were all fluffy and stuff, it'd be fine.
Yeah, they'd be fine. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Or even if they weren't, like, if they were more, like, scaly, like, lizards, then I'd probably be fine. But it's just because they're so, like, slick, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, I get that.
But I don't have any fear of heights. I go on roller coasters, but I'm not a fan of roller coasters, but it's not because I don't like, but it's not because I'm scared of them. I'm just not a roller coaster person.
This is pretty good. You got some, like, over most of the things that people are scared of.
I'm not scared of spiders.
So lucky. I'm so jealous of that.
I mean, I'm also friends with Blair Onyx, who was a spider.
That's true. Yeah, it would be weird, wouldn't it, if you were...
Blair has literally stayed at my house, so I can't be scared of spiders. I've literally had her...
On a web in the corner, right, by the posters.
Yeah. Ooh. I feel like, honestly, and then, like you said, we're gonna get deep. It'd probably be, like, I guess the fear of being, like, alone, in a sense, probably. Sure. That would probably be it, I guess, to where I'm, like, the waifu part and how I always want to make sure everybody's taken care of and whatnot. I also do that because I don't want to feel alone, I guess, necessarily. So that'd probably be it. Sure. I'm not going to get too deep or else I'm going to get too emotional.
That is deep. But I understand, right? Like, the waifu takes care of people, but who's taking care of the waifu, right?
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Right? Like, you always need someone there. And I understand that. I get that. The next one's an interesting one, because I wonder if you're going to answer as a human or a mermaid. It's your favourite animal.
My favourite animal? I'm not going to answer as a mermaid because I don't have a favourite ocean animal.
I mean, you can't, right? If you live in the ocean, you can't pick a favourite. That's not fair.
I can't. I'm friends with all of them. I talk to all of them. I can't just pick one. That'd be like asking somebody to pick their favourite kid. You can't do that. They're
going to be down there watching the Grapple Theory podcast. They're going to be like, do you hear what Aspyn said about us? You're like, right? Ridiculous.
I'll give you two different ones. In like a general animal view, it would be a zebra. I don't know. Nice. I just always thought zebras were cool. Ever since I was little, that was always my answer.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick like an animal that I could like have, besides my cat that I have, I've always loved chinchillas, and I've always thought they were the coolest things ever.
Chinchillas are adorable. I've got a friend who's got a chinchilla, and it is cute as hell. Yeah.
And that explains, like, I work with animals, so I see these animals all the time. So then I'm introduced to all these different kinds of animals, and I'm like, okay, I want that one. Yeah. I want that one.
How do I sneak this one out under my jacket without them seeing? Yeah, no, I feel that. I understand that, because I never used to have that problem, and then I met my partner, and she is animal obsessed, and now I'm animal obsessed, but I never used to be. But now I see animals, and I'm like, oh my god, that's adorable.
Oh my god, I need it,
yeah. Like, everything. I've got a guinea pig, so, like, they're pretty cute.
I love it.
He's pretty cute. I'll show you. I'll send you a photo on Twitter. Like, he's evil as hell, but again, like yourself, right? It's like very like cute and cuddly on the outside, but inside is just like you don't want to dig beneath the surface. That's just pure evil after that. No, that's great. The next one is your favorite match stipulation. So like for these purposes, like a singles match counts as a stipulation. You could say a singles match, but it can be anything from a singles match to anything else.
So again, I'll give you two. For me personally, I love me a good scramble match.
Nice. Loads of chaos.
I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people dread scramble matches. But I love a good scramble match because I feel like it gives every person their own little moment. We all get beat up. We all get our cool spot. And we all get to do something. But then also, at the end of the day, you're probably not as tired as you were as working a singles 20-minute match.
Yeah. Yeah. You get those little breaks, don't you, when you're on the outside? Yeah. Like,
it's a good all around. So you get to do the cool stuff. You might get beat up a little bit, but then you get a little rest. And I'm a big fan of scrambles. A lot of people don't like them, but I'm a big fan of scrambles.
Sure.
But in like a viewer sense, I've always loved like 2 out of 3 falls matches or like British round match.
Classic.
I'm a big fan.
Classic. I like it.
I'm a big fan. I think I would probably get confused if I were in a British rounds match myself. But my taste in wrestling for watching, when I started, it was always Japanese wrestling and British wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching in person. I went to a PWG show. I went to Bola 2014.
Nice.
The one where Ricochet won twice.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's the one. And they had Gulak and Biff Busick debuting.
Right.
And them being them, they were a super technical match, and the crowd hated it because it's PWG and they want them to do all this stuff. Yeah. But I was just sitting there, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I have always been a fan. I just love the technical stuff. I remember when they were doing them for a hot minute during like Dragon Gate USA shows. That was like a big thing they were randomly doing, or pure rules matches and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if I could do it myself, but I like watching it. Yeah. I like the technical stuff, and I like the Joshi stuff. So those are like, I have 2 very opposite ways of watching wrestling.
No, I love that. Because, like, again, like, a British rounds match is something that I just wouldn't expect someone to say. Like, it's great, it's so technical, and I love it. Like, I love it. But, like, it's even more, like, I feel like it's becoming more and more of a niche in wrestling now to, like, that sort of wrestling. So, like, I appreciate that. I think that's really cool. Like, there's a show, Head Drop Wrestling. I don't know if you know that. But, like, yeah, they always run British rounds matches. And those are really good, really technical.
I don't know what it is. The technical stuff, I'm just like, oh, it looks cool. Because I feel like there's more, like, thought process that has to go into it. And I've always just been drawn to it since the beginning. So I always love watching, like I said, submission matches, British round matches, pure rules matches, anything like that, I'm obsessed with.
Nice. No, I love it. The next one is your favorite place in the world.
Ooh. Currently, because I'm going to be going back there in August, for a concert. I'm going to see Jonas Brothers.
Of course. Classic. Yeah.
Chicago. I'm just a big fan of Chicago. I really like the area. I feel like anytime there's a concert I want to go to, if it's not close enough to me, I'm just like, oh, I'll just go to Chicago. I love the area. There's a lot of like vintage and stores and like thrift shops and stuff. I love like old antique things like that. But then they also have like a big like Japanese market to go to, and I love everything about Chicago. Technically, I would also probably say, obviously, Japan, but I haven't been there, so it technically doesn't count.
Yeah.
If I haven't been there, I guess.
It doesn't. That is true.
But yeah, for places I've been, I think Chicago is like the top.
Nice. And I'm sure the Jonas Brothers will enjoy hearing that you've come all that way.
I hope.
Oh, the Jonas. Again, that's an aging thing, right? Like, if you were around in the heyday of the Jonas Brothers, you know how old you are.
Yep.
That's a make you feel old thing. Brilliant. Well, I feel like I know what you're going to say for this final question then, because it is your dream holiday destination. I wonder what it could be. I'm sensing Asia somewhere.
Saying that it's Japan.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good guess, right? It's probably Japan. Yeah. We get that a lot. A lot of people are like, they don't want it to be like just the holiday, you know what I mean? They want it to be the work holiday.
Yeah. But also, like I mentioned earlier, I get there and I'm probably not going to want to come home, and then I'll just live there, and then it's just a holiday all the time.
You need to bring like another wrestler, so like to drag you home from the air, like, you know, clawing at the airport floor, like, no! Don't go. Because I know that's what I'm going to have to be like with my partner when we eventually go to Japan. Like, she's not going to want to leave, and I'm going to have to drag her through the airport. It's going to look terrible. Because nothing will look worse than a guy dragging his girlfriend through an airport.
Right.
But yeah, that's what's going to have to happen. Otherwise, she's just going to stay there, and then I'm going to have to pay the rent all by myself, and I can't do that.
Right.
I get it. No, Japan is good. Japan's the go-to answer. And I think that's a lovely way to end it, talking about being dragged through an airport. What a better way to end a podcast. So, Aspyn Rose, it's been a pleasure having you.
Earlier, it's wrestling. It makes sense.
Exactly. All of these things in the context of wrestling make full sense. It's just if you hear it out of context, it sounds a bit weird.
It sounds a bit weird, but wrestling people, it's normal talk.
Exactly. Like, any wrestling fan will know that everything we've said today is just completely normal. But if anyone who doesn't like wrestling were to watch this, they'd be like, what the fuck are they on? Like,
right?
But actually, I nearly forgot, that does bring us to our sort of closing feature here. And this is where, it's a relatively new tradition we have here, where our last guest leaves a question for our next guest.
Oh, okay.
But you're not allowed to know who's left it, is the only catch. I can't tell you who left you the question. It's just that you've been left the question. So the question that you've been left, it's quite a nice one. It's a wrestling-based one. We've had a few really weird ones, like real thinkers, that are very funny. So this can be anything you want, like, 'cause I have to ask you after we've recorded about yours. But the question you've been left is, what is your favourite era of professional wrestling?
Ooh. I feel like this is going to be a weird answer. But it's basically when I started wrestling. So for me, it makes sense. But I feel like somebody who, like, grew up forever and ever and ever on wrestling or anything like that, they probably think it's weird. But honestly, like, 2008 to, like, 2013, late 2000s, because I started watching wrestling in 2009, which blows a lot of people's minds. That's when I started watching wrestling.
That is late to first get into it, like...
My mom's boyfriend at the time, they worked at the same place, and they were closed Mondays. So Mondays, he would come over to our house, and he watched wrestling, and he put on Raw.
Right.
And so we were just like, yeah, this is just what we do Monday night, whatever. And me and my mom got super into it to where, like, we didn't even know SmackDown existed for, like, 3-4 months.
You were just full Raw. It was all Raw.
Watching it when he was over.
Yeah.
And then it progressed from there. Me and my mom both got super into SmackDown. And then, so we ended up really liking Jeff Hardy.
Of course.
And so not long after we got into SmackDown was when he had that match with Punk and he left. So then my mom was super into looking up every little wrestling news thing on her phone and on Facebook and everything.
Just Google searches, where is Jeff Hardy?
Yeah. And so eventually it was like, hey, he's going to this place called TNA Wrestling. And we're like, okay. So we started watching when he popped back up there. And it just basically spiraled from there. And, but yeah, so honestly, that period of time is probably my favorite. Because I would literally come home, go on YouTube, and just search WWE Divas matches. And I would just watch, like, Michelle McCool and Maurice matches all day.
Yeah.
Because that was, like, their prime was that time period. And they're, like, WWE-wise, they're, like, two of my favorites. I was a big Michelle McCool fan. I thought she was the coolest thing ever. And Maurice just was pretty and she just looked cool.
Yeah.
No matter what she did, because she just had the attitude and everything. And so that would probably be my favorite just because that time period is the most sentimental to me because that's like right when I started watching it, getting super into wrestling.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. And I like that because that's super weird, like, to get into wrestling at that age. Because normally, like, you get into wrestling as a kid and you either carry it through or, like, so, like, me, like, I got into it as a kid and then I stopped between, like, 12 and 18, I stopped watching it completely. And then I got back into it. But, like, to first get into it at, like 13, 14 is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the age where you're, like, trying to be cool, right? You're like, no, I don't like wrestling, it's fake, blah.
To be fair, I didn't tell anybody in school that I liked wrestling.
Okay.
That was a big secret. And I was like, I can't be the weird girl that likes wrestling. Especially, I remember so I started watching it the summer of 2009. When I went back to school that year, when the new school year started, we had a new kid in our class. And one day he wore a Jeff Hardy shirt. And it was I think it was like a photo of him. I want to say it had to have been Extreme Rules because it was him doing the pose in one of the top turnbuckle corners.
Nice.
And there was like a garbage can, like you partially saw the top of a garbage can with like kendo sticks and stuff. And he wore it one day. And everybody in my class immediately started making fun of him. And not even for the fact that, like, because they knew it was wrestling. It was because, haha, why is he standing over a garbage can like that? Look, he's trash. There's a garbage can.
Wow, that's weird.
And that was just how they decided to go off on it. And so they always made fun of him after that for liking wrestling. And that was, like I said, right when I started watching it. I was like, oh God, I can't tell anybody about this or I'm going to be the weird kid.
Yeah, you were like, now I must keep this secret from me forever.
Yeah.
No one must know. I get it, though. I get it. Like, again, it's a very school thing, isn't it? To, like, be the only one who likes it.
Yeah, it was, like, especially, like I said, just starting it, because I literally started it that summer. So I'd only been into it for like 2 or 3 months, and then to come to school and immediately see another kid get made fun of for it, I was like, oh,
you were like, what have I done?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I will say, when it comes to like time periods in wrestling, like now that I am a wrestler, my favorite time to look back on is like early 2000s Chikara. Is like my favorite.
Sure.
And especially, I feel like I'm a very big character-based wrestler. That's like my thing. I kind of tell people that I'm not an indie wrestler. I'm a TV wrestler because I'm very big on theatrics and everything like that.
Sorry, wait, you're a character wrestler.
I love to go back and watch old Chikara stuff. I just think they were doing all this weird, wacky things that nothing made sense. We had ice creams that were wrestling. Like, what is that? And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So that's like probably my favorite time period to go back and watch now.
No, that's cool. Wait, so you're a character wrestler. You're
I know, right?
You're telling me you're not a real mermaid.
I'm not saying anything.
This has blown my mind right now. I thought wrestling was real. What are you telling me?
God dang it.
Everything I know has been a lie. What a way to end. What a brilliant way to end. Well, Aspyn Rose, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. I think this has been one of the wackier chats I've had. It's been a lot of fun.
I'll take that.
And that's what we love about wrestling, right? Is the weird and the wacky. So it's been great. It's been great. We always end by giving our guests one final bit of promo time. So whether it's in America or anywhere else in the world, who knows what the rest of 2023 has to offer. If someone is going to a show and Aspyn Rose is on the card, why is the Pro Wrestling Waifu going to steal the show?
Because I'm cute.
There we go.
That's why I get really simple. Because I'm cute and everybody just falls in love with me. I don't know what to tell you. But other than that, it's probably, honestly, it's literally the anime stuff. Especially because I bring it into my gear and everything. It kind of, because even if somebody is newer to wrestling, they might know anime. And they'll see me wearing Demon Slayer gear. And they're like, oh my God, I don't know her. But she has Demon Slayer gear, so she's cool. And that's all it takes.
Yeah. And the being cute thing.
I feel like because I bring different genres of like pop culture and whatever into my wrestling, it gets other people into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the being cute thing as well. And the...
Obviously the main...
Yeah.